Welcome to We Question and Learn. This is Tom Pies. We're celebrating our 19th year here on the air at WQLN, FM 91.3, WQLN NPR. Very special guest today. We have the president and CEO of the Northwest Industrial Resource Center, Bob Zaruta. Thank you for joining me this morning. What a pleasure to have you.
Yes. Well, Tom, good morning to you, and thank you for the opportunity to join you.
Let's do some basic work for the audience. Let's just go right to brass tacks here. You've been with the NWIRC since 2016, so maybe you can explain what the organization is and maybe talk about how you came to manage the group that's here in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Well, Tom, the NWIRC is an organization that has been in existence for over 30 years. We began, and we're in existence to help the small, mid-sized manufacturing company to improve their ability to compete, to grow, to create jobs, create new opportunities for existing employees, and we're part of a statewide network. There are 7 industrial resource centers in Pennsylvania. We make up what is called the Pennsylvania Manufacturing Extension Partnership. And that network consists of an MEP in every state and Puerto Rico. And so there's this state network, there's this national network, and it was all created, the program, in 1988 to help that small, mid-sized manufacturer to do the things that I described, and the importance of it, because manufacturing is critical to the national, state, and local economies. It's critical to national security, and there's a lot of emphasis, as everyone knows now, today better than ever, perhaps, of bringing the supply chain and making it less global and more United States based, right? So because of all that, we're working with and typically the small mid-sized manufacturing company does not have the resources that the larger original equipment manufacturers have. So that's part of why we're here. So we're a public-private partnership, and we're here to help those clients.
And of course, a nonprofit. And your funding, how does your funding come to your front door?
Right. So we have 3 components to our business model. We receive support from the state of Pennsylvania through the Department of Community and Economic Development. We receive some federal funding from the National Institute of Standards and Technologies. That's the Department of Commerce line. And then we also, the manufacturers that we engage with, they put their investments into their improvement projects that we recommend to them. So it's a combination of those 3 that provide some of the public funding for us to do no-cost assessments and outreach, and then the clients put their own investments to make those improvements that we recommend.
So you're not a funding organization. You're a group that assists someone to move forward with their companies.
That's correct.
Good.
We're here to be a resource and utilize various resources. Partner resources are very important to us. We have so many great partners in Northwest and North Central Pennsylvania that we work with in a collaborative way to serve the manufacturers here in our region.
So you do categorical help. In other words, you go in, assess something a company may need. Am I right?
Yes, we could go in and specifically look at an area that they recognize they need assistance, or we can begin with just an overall assessment and begin to work with them to identify within their company some areas for opportunity for improvement. And then what we do is we've already kind of vetted and continue to vet a very strong network of subject matter experts. And so we can help the manufacturer by bringing in a couple or 3 of those resources and let them meet them and better understand what they can bring. We save the manufacturer the time and cost to go and find those resources. So we bring that value add to the relationship. And then there's sometimes, Tom, that we help the manufacturer directly with our own in-house expertise. And we typically focus on the areas that the manufacturers have the highest demand and need for, to have our talent on staff, so we can also, because of market demands, be able to meet their needs.
Well, you walked right into my next question. Thank you for that introduction. But let's talk. This is great. Let's talk about your staff. Now, I'm privy to looking at the website, so that's not fair. But how many folks are here in Erie working with you?
Well, for the organization as a whole, for the 13 counties that we serve, in our region. We have a total of 12 on staff, and we have some that are in different parts of that 13-county region working on a regional level. And here in Erie, we have 7 that, or 8 now. Actually, we just added our person here to grow in an area that we need to grow. And so we have 8 that report out of the Erie office, technically.
So each person has their organizational skill sets, and then some people actually do a lot of field work then?
We do. We have our group that does the outreach, that builds the relationships with the manufacturers, our strategic business advisors. And then we have the 2 on staff now that provide direct services in very targeted areas of expertise. And that right now, the area that is in the largest demand and manufacturers are really wanting to take our assistance is in the area of employee development, culture development, really the services that help the company to build a high employee retention workplace and culture. And that has a lot to do with the fact that the labor shortage is what it is for not only manufacturers but all businesses. And so we're spending a lot of time helping companies in those areas, leadership, coaching, as well as onboarding new employees and providing a good experience for those employees so that the companies can retain them. So all that wrapped into our expertise in-house is where we're spending a great deal of time.
We're talking to Bob Zaruta, President, Chief Executive Officer of the Northwest Industrial Resource Center. In your opinion, as you take a photograph of what you've seen in the last couple of years because of the COVID scenario, how badly has this affected manufacturing in our region or just overall?
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a crazy ride. Initially, when COVID hit, and there were some shutdowns, and manufacturers were very resilient and were able to, once they were enabled to get back in operation, many didn't miss a heartbeat, but they were certainly impacted. Their supply chains were impacted greatly. They had customers that stopped orders. So there was a lot of emphasis early on in working with the manufacturers to grow their top line, where they needed to identify new customers, new markets, strengthen their supply chain. And so as the pandemic continued over those couple years plus, things shifted. When companies started to get stabled in those areas, eventually, and now this is what's happening more than before, is that the manufacturers are busy. The numbers of orders have increased, customer demand has increased, and now the focus is on their people and being able to improve their operations, their processes, to be more efficient. Because of the fact that there is a shortage of labor right now. And so you wrap all that together, and manufacturers are challenged to meet customer demand and yet meet it with and grow, and they're growing, but meet it with the same size workforce, or in some cases less.
If I'm correct, you used to do, or you still do, obviously you still do it, you help companies become more resilient. So your prior work has helped right now post-COVID, would you say?
Oh, yes. Manufacturers are by innate, they're innately resilient, but they also have now, more than ever focused on building those systems, those processes, the management programs. All that matters in building resiliency, so that when the next storm comes, whatever that might be, and it's now raising prices of inflation that affects the materials they buy and the shipping delays. All of that now requires them to be even more resilient and be able to pivot with more flexibility. And so that's part of that resiliency that we help manufacturers to strengthen.
You work with, can I say, medium to small? That's the core of your work?
That's our primary mission. And when we say medium, it's generally 500 employees or less. We work with some companies that are larger than 500, but in our region in Northwest and North Central Pennsylvania, the number of manufacturers that have more than 100 employees is a small percentage. Most of the manufacturers are under 100 in our region, and many of them are under actually 20 employees. Like 60% of the manufacturers in our region have 20 or less employees. So we work with the whole range, but it is based on what's in our region.
I go back and look 20, 30, 40 years ago, this was a huge tool and die manufacturing arena. Is that still the case today?
Well, sure. Tool and, really interesting is within Northwest Pennsylvania, there is these pockets of very specialization, like tool and die. Yes, definitely, and still a very strong industry subsector, and a lot of that is based in Crawford County, and then you have the plastics industry, which has been strong, and then you go to the North Central region, and you have the powdered metal industry, which is really, you can almost say, and many do, that it's the capital powdered metal in the country, and globally speaking, it's a high concentration of powdered metal and carbon companies that have its own niche, so yeah.
Issue. You're going to take a trip here shortly to Germany, and I do believe that's where most of this powdered metal technology came, particularly around World War II. And if I'm even close to the correct story, you are headed to Germany, I believe, relative to this recording, tomorrow.
That's right,
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it. So the opportunity came through partly through our national network, and they a few months ago asked the national network and other regional and state and country partners, and they're looking to send 15 individuals in this first group over to study the vocational technical programs, apprenticeships that the Germans have done really well over a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And, we have done a lot of good work in this country, but their approach is different than the United States. And so the idea behind this initiative was to bring the two countries together and to share practices and to better understand and to look to solve some common problems. So I will have the opportunity to be in 3 different cities, touring manufacturing schools, meeting with local officials, with this group of 15, and not only collaborating and brainstorming, but bringing back that knowledge and looking to implement and collaborate here with other partners for the good of the future talent pipeline.
I'm envious of that trip. That has to be extremely fascinating, because as you look around and you look at German manufacturing technology, let's just pick something, Volkswagen, something like that, Porsche, they do things differently, would you say? And subsequently, you're hoping to learn a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's they have strengths within their country and within their manufacturing sector, and I think we've always tried to here in the United States to lead, but we also have found it to be helpful. Look in lean manufacturing, where the U.S. manufacturers went in the direction of what Japan started with lean manufacturing. So it's really about learning and growing, and as I said, trying to address similar problems with a multi-country approach.
You've been doing this in Erie since 2016. Am I close?
Yeah, that's when I relocated to Erie. I was with the Industrial Resource Center for a little bit over 16 years on the northeastern side of the state with one of those 7 partners I mentioned earlier. And the opportunity came up with a retirement to take the lead position here as the president. And I had a son in the area and his wife at the time, and now, so it made the decision a little easier to make a move after living in northeastern Pennsylvania for a long time on the eastern side of the state.
Welcome home, so to speak. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, as you look at your itinerary of work, say, over the last year or two, do you have any samples of the type of work? I guess you can mention companies if you care to, or maybe categorically you'd like to speak maybe about a project where you've helped out.
Well, let me start with the area of focus that ties a little bit to what we already started talking about this morning, Tom, and that is really helping to develop the talent pipeline to help manufacturers going forward. There's a big concern. I mean, there's a shortage of labor right now, but with the retirements that are expected and some that are not expected, we need to get the younger generation really excited about manufacturing, because today's manufacturing is not like it was 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It is high tech, it is advanced manufacturing, and it's clean work environments, and it's amazing. So we have a student-run enterprise model that we introduced here to McDowell High School at the Mill Creek Township School District. and it has been such a big success in drawing more students and getting them excited about careers in manufacturing, getting real-world experience running a manufacturing enterprise within the school, and making real parts for local manufacturers, and in the process building relationships with those companies and positioning themselves for careers. And then because of that success, we have introduced it and now have 3 other student-run enterprises and strategically in 3 other school districts in our 13 counties, over in Bradford, St. Mary's, and in now Warren County, and 3 more school districts ready to move forward. So we're excited about that. Another related type of initiative is of the uniquely abled academies. And we have one now started in Meadville, and this is for young adults, Tom, that are on the autism spectrum. These are young adults that are high performing, that have the innate skills that align perfectly to be a CNC operator, a computer numerical control operator, state of the art, advanced manufacturing. And so we have a model that we've introduced, and we have that class underway right now with adults, young adults who are going through a 16-week training program. And when they graduate, they're going to have job opportunities to go to work and get a start on a great career in manufacturing. And we have a pilot program that we expect to launch early in 2023 here in Erie County. And like the student-run enterprise, we want to scale up both of these in our 13 counties, and we're trying to make that happen. So that's an area that we're helping manufacturers. But let me jump over to more traditionally some of the things we've done and with manufacturing. So we help manufacturers improve their processes with lean manufacturing. We bring manufacturers together to collaborate and learn from one another and best practices through our Lean Together program. We also help them achieve certifications, like companies today that need to be certified to do work within the DoD, the Department of Defense, and the supply chain. They need certain credentials and certifications. So whether it's ISO 9000 or AS 9300 for the aerospace, or it is in cybersecurity certification. In order to be in the DoD supply chain, you've got to have your cybersecurity in order in-house. And so we help companies be able to do that. We help companies be able to grow their top line by finding new markets, finding new customers within those markets, and doing the market intel to do that. We help companies improve, and this is the growing area of our practice with that employee development, helping them develop a culture that is going to empower their employees for high performance, keep their employees, and attract new employees. And so that culture development, employee development is a big part of our direct services that we're helping companies. And we work with some of the very well-known companies in the area. We have a board of directors that consists of manufacturers to lead and provide direction to our organization, and some that are in education, like with Penn State and Gannon University on our board. So that's the leadership of this organization.
You just took 2 of my questions, so I congratulate you for being on top of everything ahead of time, particularly that these are programs that you have in place. And I was going to ask you about the universities, since they're so high-tech oriented, obviously. They've been around, or they are around, to help you out?
Absolutely. We partner with the universities. They sometimes have their initiatives that they are looking to bring to market, and we help them in some of that outreach and promotion and connecting manufacturers to those opportunities. There's a program that that has existed for a number of years, Tom, and it's basically to if we find a manufacturer that has a specific need that needs the brain power of some students led by faculty, we'll bring that proposal to the university so that that team can look to address it, and it won't cost the company. It will be a benefit to the company to get that kind of brain thrust with students getting practical experience under the leadership of faculty.
I would like to compliment you on your depth of services. As I'm capable of sitting and looking at the website, I see buzzwords and programs and technology and instruction that this is just beyond a local organization. You're so keyed in, your programs are so in-depth, so to speak, and so well-founded. Do you provide education in other realms, say for manufacturers who want to delve into something new, or are you purely a support organization to help people do what they do better than what they are doing it?
Well, we pride ourselves on being thought leaders and being out in front and, being in tune to trends and best practices that maybe other states or other centers that we collaborate with in our network. And so we have access to this network, and we do meet. In fact, we had a conference in Chicago just a few weeks ago where we get together annually and share best practices and learn about what's working in some other parts of the country. And it's all for the benefit of being that thought leader and being out in front of it. But so yeah, we look to innovate with our clients, with our manufacturers. We right now are working with a group of young manufacturing professionals, call them the next generation of leaders, of manufacturers in our region, and they're very interested in building their footprint out because, these are young people in their 20s and 30s that know they're going to be the leaders of these companies. They're in family. Many of them are in family-run businesses, and they want to begin to build that network for the good of the region right now. And we're going to help do that. So that will be an example of where some great ideas to improve the region and strengthen the region will come from. And they're now connected to an industry partnership that we are the convener for, called GREAT, and it's for 8 counties of northwestern Pennsylvania. So when you put that kind of thinking together with that kind of enthusiasm and passion for the area with this group of manufacturing leaders, only good things can come out of it, we believe.
I'm sure you do community assessment. Do we have enough staff? Do we have enough workers? Our colleges are excellent. Are we in a shortage scenario here relative to available people to employ?
Yes, we are, and there's a whole bunch of reasons why. But there are a number of great initiatives, and a lot of regional partners are trying to find ways to be part of the solution. There is not going to ever be a one answer solution, but we feel that in collaborating, we have a better chance to get to where we want to be than if everybody kind of just chunks along and does things in silos. So we've got a pretty strong partnership that looks to be in response. But, those 2 programs that I indicated earlier with the student-run enterprise and the uniquely abled for the autistic, those are populations that represent change. They are populations that, if we can help develop and provide that pipeline, that's part of the answer, right? So that's why, and we're going to be looking for other populations that are underserved, that we can create programs that will help to attract and build that future talent pipeline. Because we have that labor shortage, and it's not expected to improve on its own. It's going to need a proactive effort to be able to do that.
What kind of education programs do you offer manufacturers? Do you hold sessions? Do you go to manufacturers' facilities and help teach employees? How does that work?
Yes. Yeah, so we have a training. For example, we have a training catalog that comes out every 6 months. It shows a whole variety of courses that are available. These courses are available in public settings where multiple companies send a few people or 1 or 2 people each. They could be on site where a company just wants it for their own staff. But in addition to what's in that catalog, and it's across a whole variety of service areas of education areas, we also do customize one-on-one within a company tailored specifically to the needs of that business. We do a training needs assessment, and this is something that we introduced a few months ago, back in the late spring. It's been very, very received very well, I should say, by manufacturers. It's no cost, and we basically work with the company to identify training needs within their entire enterprise and map out a plan for them and connect them to resources and some of the training grant dollars that might be available to help offset the cost of those programs.
Well, you just got my next question. I think you're looking at my crib sheet, but that's okay, because I was going. That's okay. I was going to ask you about grants and funding opportunities, and you can specifically help in that area.
Yeah, sure. We training needs assessments lead to oftentimes some help with training dollars. There are other targeted grants that come out from different federal and state resources, and trying to stay on top of those is part of what we do. Certainly manufacturers often don't have the time to know where to go and research these grants, but we do. And so we try to stay abreast to opportunities. We apply for grants, or we partner with others to apply for grants when they're targeted to the needs, that manufacturers have. We just came off of having 2 grants that for about 18 months helped fuel a lot of improvement projects. They didn't pay for these projects totally, but they helped to offset some of the companies that were most hit by the COVID pandemic. So that did expire. Those grants are right now not available, but we continually look for opportunities. And actually, those student-run enterprises that I mentioned, we were able to secure grant dollars for those pilot programs to start, as well as the uniquely abled academies that I mentioned. We were able to get funding to help pilot those programs. So, we're constantly looking to bring that value to the manufacturing sector.
Well, if you looked at your strategic plan, say from 3 to 5 years ago, no one thought that you'd have to insert 2 years of COVID. Now, as you sit out and about, or should I say sit, you never sit, as you are out and about in the community, where do you see all this going? What's your next step? What is your planning for the near future, and maybe even a little beyond?
Yeah, so in addition to pivoting with regards to helping manufacturers get through these difficult times, and we did that with a lot of the no-cost assessments and culture development, as I mentioned, training needs assessment, overall business assessment. But going forward, advanced manufacturing technologies, cybersecurity, in industry, what is referred to as Industry 4.0, using the Internet of Things for artificial intelligence, being able to take the data that comes off of the equipment and use that data to make decisions within companies on maintaining their equipment. These Industry 4.0 disciplines are areas that we will continue to look to advance our capabilities and resources to be able to serve manufacturers, because that is manufacturing of tomorrow. And we need to be able to help our company clients to be in position to, again, going back to our mission, improve their ability to compete and to grow. They need to be strong in those areas as well, and we look to be a resource.
Well, robotics, artificial intelligence, all these things are not sneaking up on us. They are here already. So we're glad that your organization is in our community. You are a resource for the community. I want to thank you personally for taking a half hour to update us on all the things that you are doing in this community and your outreach beyond. And we're grateful that you could be on the program today.
Well, I appreciate it very much to have the opportunity to reach your listeners and to help them understand our organization. And if there's some manufacturers out there that are listening, we're here to help. So thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.
Yeah, maybe we can catch you after your trip sometime, or maybe after the holidays. Thank you very much for being on the program today.
Thank you again.
Welcome to We Question and Learn on WQLN FM 91.3, WQLN NPR. We're celebrating our 19th year. Today, a very special guest. We're going to talk with Ellen Hill, Director of Chronic Disease Programming at the YMCA. Could you give us a brief outline on how this program works, how it got started, and maybe chat a little bit about the objectives of the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came into the program in 2020. Our first chronic disease program, which was our diabetes prevention program, started at the tail end of 2019 and then rolling into 2020 before everything shut down. And that was our diabetes prevention program. And ultimately, the push behind this was when they were redoing our strategic plan for the Y, they noticed that there was a need within our community and programs rolling out from YUSA. So they incorporated that. And then the goal from there was to expand our program. So it started with our diabetes prevention program, and then moving for better balance, which is our fall prevention class, out into our blood pressure self-monitoring. And then most recently, the 2 programs that we're partnering with the health department for, which is tobacco cessation and another fall risk class, matter of balance. And like I said, the whole motivating factor is there's a huge need in our community, and the Y saw that, hey, we can be an asset and help reach more people.
What a tremendous idea. Plus, you have the geographic facilities. Folks are familiar with you. Sounds like a great synergy.
Yeah, absolutely is. And yeah, that's part of it. You know, the Y is known as a community organization, and maybe more or less a gym and childcare, but we're so much more than that. And that's kind of what these programs help show off too.
Ellen Hill, how long have you been the director of chronic disease programming?
I started in June of 2021, so we are going on 16 months.
And the program, is it funded for a certain period of time?
Yes and no. So each year we go through grant funding processes to ensure that we can bring these programs for as long as possible at free or reduced cost. So it is a year-by-year basis on funding received for grants and donations, but at the end of the day, these programs are here to stay. So whether it is grant funded or has to go back to a cost for service, there's no goal of eliminating these dependent on funding.
Sounds like a critical program. I opened up your community health document. Is that open to the public, that document, by the way?
If you are referring to the colorful folder.
The Erie County Community Health Improvement Plan is?
Yes. That is available to the public. It is on the Erie County Department of Health website, or I believe it can also be accessed on UPMC and AHN, because the three of them do community health assessments, and this is kind of the action plan from those health assessments.
So let's talk about the reason why we need to do this. Maybe it's obvious to some, maybe not to everyone, as to how far afield this goes. What percentage of the population or how many people are affected? How did you measure all this?
So we really looked at kind of the stats that were given to us by the pros. You know, like I said, the Department of Health and the local health systems really did the stats rollout. But when you look at things, when you look at the national average for type 2 diabetes or hypertension, so your high blood pressure, Erie County is higher than Pennsylvania state average and nationwide average. And then in combination with that, you look at the number of food deserts that we have here in our city. So just within the county, we have 12 USDA recognized food deserts. And that means people don't have easy access to grocery stores and to proper nutrition.
Did you say 12 food deserts in our area?
Yes.
Well, that's astounding. I knew that there were several. I didn't realize the outreach was that far. Wow. Okay. So, of course, without good health, proper diet, nutrition, exercise, etc., it doesn't help those who have a symptom or because of the lack of good food and exercise, they're developing all these chronic diseases. So it's obvious there's a need for your program. How do you work with the Erie County Department of Health? It's a partnership?
They're a valuable resource. I work closely with them just to get more knowledge of the community. I have conversations with some of the ladies from there on the regular. But the other thing that we do is we subcontract with them. So it just helps expand the outreach of some of their programs that maybe are evidence-based programs similar to what YUSA rolls out, but we maybe don't have the reach, or YUSA doesn't have the curriculum, and we know that there's the need. So we'll go with tobacco cessation, quitting nicotine usage. That is one of those programs that while the health department has a whole department dedicated to it, the volume of smokers and the outreach that they have isn't comparable. So they look for partners like us, the Y, who aligns with their mission and can help be an added resource to their objectives.
So you have a written program. You have a definite plan that you've been working on all along now.
Yeah, more or less.
Well, probably more than less. Awareness has to be a major obstacle. How do you outreach into the community?
Awareness is an incredibly difficult obstacle. We're out in the community. So when these programs initially rolled out, we were very much based within our branches. So whether it was the Harbor Creek location at the East Side Y, Glenwood, we're going out to our Edinburgh Y, which is our county Y, and we have some classes at our downtown Y. But really, That's us being successful by getting people through the doors. So we're doing a lot more community-based things. We're trying to be at our churches and our community centers and health fairs. Health fairs, community health fairs are a big way in which we're able to bring awareness to people. Like I said, just getting outside of our branches and being more in the community really helps with that word of mouth and success of programs.
You mentioned 2 major medical facilities helping you. How do they assist your program?
Just resources.
Okay.
They are a wealth of knowledge that being new to the position and new to Erie as a whole, they're really kind of the backbone of community knowings and where to look for things and how to access them.
Published materials, or is that a difficult expense to overcome?
We have a mix of both. So our best method of marketing really is that word of mouth. Someone that has had success in any of our programs is more likely to share the news and kind of want to brag about their successful journey. But we do a lot of printed marketing because at the end of the day, when we are at health fairs, people are getting a lot of material. They're going to every table. But if we have something that we can put in their bag, whether it's a folder with all of our programs or just a simple flyer about one of the programs, when they're going home and looking through their goodie bag of what they received, if they can get that extra reminder of things from the Y, then that tends to be the method that we go with.
Besides being a food desert, we have a good degree of poverty. That's got to be difficult.
Yes.
I couldn't think of the correct word. Forgive me. It bothered me a little bit that the food desert is one thing, but the ability to be able to afford healthy foods for children. I noticed in the benchmarking here, fruits and vegetables, and that's just one example, please. How does that all work?
So whether people know this or not, 16501 is the lowest, the poorest zip code in the country, not just in the state of Pennsylvania, but the country as a whole. And so when it comes down to it, whether it is being able to pay your electric bill or get food for your family or spend it on a gym membership, other things tend to take a priority. So our whole goal is to be able to keep these programs free of cost, so that way we never have to have somebody present that dilemma of, do I buy groceries for the week or do I participate in this program that's costing me extra money? So we really look at things and we try to reduce barriers as much as possible. So put them close to the bus lines, put them in these community organizations that people have access to. And then, like I said, I cannot reiterate enough, try to keep that grant funding around so we can keep these programs free of cost.
How do the schools help you, if they do at all?
Directly with the chronic disease programming, there is no direct correlation between the two, but we are working to expand our at-risk meals. So those kids that are coming to these community centers, sometimes it's our branches. The newest one is ECAT, so the Erie Arts and Technology, the Old Wayne School. We offer at-risk meals to these kids that are under 18, no questions asked. They're able to come and get food after school.
I want people to hopefully understand how difficult and how critical this is, because this is seed planting to help maintain our community for the next 10, 50, or even 100 years. This is a generational problem.
This absolutely is a generational problem.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's generations deep that we are fighting against.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's tough. What other parts of the state are you aware of? You mentioned Erie is the worst, so I'm guessing there's other, well, maybe it's obvious. Big metropolitan areas, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, areas like that, it would be obvious and easy to find these food deserts. Erie's a little smaller, and I'm a little taken aback. I'm actually a little bit in shock at how low we rate and how high we are on the deficit scale relative to these issues. Is it just because of the environment, the poverty? The schools are doing a good job. Is it a generational thing here?
I think it's a combination of all of what you mentioned. I think, our county is decent size. Part of it is, I would say, means and transportation. So if you don't drive, how do you go and get food? So that adds to things. We do have some rural aspects of our county that kind of add to that. And I think really at the end of the day, it's just ingrained in Erie, and there's no real pinpoint of a factor. It's just years and years and decades of combinations of little things here and there that have just got us to a point that is we're now needing to change and change quickly so we can keep our community healthy as possible.
How do you overcome, or how have other organizations in your research, how have they overcome this food desert issue?
Partnerships with a lot of local organizations. So things like, even within our county, within our community, we have places like Community Health Net, which are trying to work and bring in access to fresh fruit and vegetables. We have places like Second Harvest, which are trying to do outreach and get people access and enrolled in SNAP benefits, or get them, access to the food and veggies at food pantries. And then you have places like Erie City Mission that are helping feed people that maybe can't go get food, that can't get enough food. So there are resources in our community. It's just still, like, I can't reiterate enough, it's that uphill battle of things and getting it to change and making big societal changes on how we view different zip codes in our county.
It sounds like you have a good number of nonprofits helping you out. It sounds like you have the medical folks helping you out. Where else do you reach out? The Y, of course, huge partner for you, obviously.
We do. We rely heavily on communication with other YMCA associations, whether it's from YUSA, so kind of our big nationwide governing body, or within our state. I would like to say that our good mentors are the Harrisburg YMCA and the success of their programs, and just trying to replicate that.
You took my next question. How is this working elsewhere?
Very well.
Yes, as a benchmark, how well this could work here. And I'm sure you have some success stories in our area. How have the schools been helping you?
The schools, there is no direct relationship on that other than, like I said, the at-risk meals that we have going.
Yeah, you do the outreach, and of course, they're grateful that you're helping them out, I'm sure.
Yep.
You have many programs, and I'm sure they're all important. Could you outline some of the programs for us?
Yeah, we have 5 big programs. Our first being our diabetes prevention program. It's a lifestyle changing program in which people who have been told they're at risk of becoming type 2 diabetic have been told they need to be concerned about their sugar level, or really just wanting to lose weight and make that, like I said, that lifestyle change for the better. There are a couple qualifying factors, such as, unfortunately, if you've been diagnosed as type 1 or type 2 diabetic, this program is not for you. If you're at risk, if you have your A1C levels are elevated, if your height to weight, if you're not physically active, or there's a family history, all of those are qualifying factors on the risk test. Or if you've ever been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, that's an automatic qualifying factor to the program. Our next one would be our blood pressure self-monitoring program. If you've ever been diagnosed with high blood pressure, that's really the only qualifying factor. As long as you are not under the care of a cardiologist for a recent heart-related issue, or have any arrhythmias or lymphedema issues, this program, the goal is to teach you how to modify your blood pressure for the better and teach you how to accurately monitor it so you are better informed on yourself when you go see your doctor.
Okay, diabetes, high blood pressure. What about chronic heart disease, things like that? Or is that referred forward to medical professionals?
So yes and no. So if you have some of those chronic conditions make you more at risk of being sedentary. So as long as you're cleared by your doctor to participate in programs, then that's really the only thing. So, if you have chronic artery disease or COPD, those things, like I said, as long as you are cleared by your doctor, then you're eligible to participate in the programs, because most of them do have an exercise component to them. Because at the end of the day, we're still a gym, so let's add in that exercise.
Well, and you know what? You don't have to go out buy equipment or facilities or buildings. You've sort of solved one of the most expensive problems, so to speak, up front, and that's great. How do people get involved? Say a mom with a couple of kids or just a family. Do they enroll? Do they call you? How does this all work logistically?
I tell people the easiest way to get in touch and figure out more information on the programs is to go to ymcaerie.org. So that's YMCAERIE.org. And when you get to the website, there's always that little magnifying glass for the search bar, and just put in chronic disease programs or membership or other programs that you're interested in. Our website is the best way to find out more information on things.
Excellent. That's perfect. And I'm sure everything people need to know is on there. What other stories do you have? Have you had any success stories, or do you have some examples of how well this has worked in the past?
So we'll go with our diabetes prevention just because that is our biggest program. We have had multiple people come back and say, I tried diets over the years and I lost the weight that I wanted to. And then when I fell off the wagon for dieting, or it wasn't, something that I could keep going forever, I gained the weight back and I gained it back even more. And then we've had those same exact people come back after a year after the diabetes prevention program. They come back and they go, I keep losing weight and I keep meeting the markers that I want. My blood sugar is down low. I went from being right at the line of being type 2 diabetic to being down within the normal ranges. My doctor cannot believe this. Or we've had people with blood pressure go, I was taking my blood pressure every day, and I thought that just because I was on blood pressure medicine that I was fine. I didn't need to take anything. But after taking it every day and learning the tips and techniques on how to get my best readings, and I took them into my doctor, we realized my blood pressure medicine wasn't working correctly, so we were able to change it, or I was able to reduce it. So really, the goal is just to educate people on themselves and help them better themselves.
You mentioned this program has been around for a couple of years. Was it just 2 years ago?
No, I am the second full-time director for this position. It started right before the pandemic, and then I came in right after things were starting to open back up.
Well, that was a challenge, 2019 and 2022 already, and I'm not sure how difficult it was in between. I'm sure it was to try and execute a health program, and you can't gather large groups of people, etc. That had to have been a challenge for you.
It was. Like I said, I came in at the tail end of things, but I came into a really good team who kept it up and running, and they adapted just like everybody else did and went virtual on things. And then when we could get back to having classes and being responsible with our safety and others' safety, we went to social distancing. And we just tried to keep it as much to the original design of the class as possible with the forced factors that everybody else had to deal with.
As healthy as a lot of people try to be, mental health issues get in the way. Folks probably need some different kinds of coaching, so to speak, relative to their health. They're facing other problems. That has to be a challenge for you.
It is, but one of the good and beneficial things about all the classes that we offer outside of the blood pressure, which is a one-on-one class, everything else is done in a small group setting. So whether it is diabetes or a quick class or a fall prevention classes, they're all done in small group settings, because when I'm telling people about these programs, I go, your life might be different and my life might be different, and I could come from completely different walk of life, but at the end of the day, we all face similar struggles. How do I go to this family gathering and not completely derail myself? How do I navigate these social situations that are largely based around eating or based around unhealthy habits? So the groups tend to work together and go, I went to this cookout, and instead of having eating until I was full and couldn't move, maybe I had a light snack beforehand and knew that it was going to be a healthy snack. So I could go and have a hamburger, but not have 3 hamburgers. So the small group setting is really the key, whether it's the mental side of things that helps you be successful or just the accountability of seeing the same people week in, week out.
Sounds like some even healthy people could stand a little coaching once in a while.
We all
Picnics
could.
and recreation. No one's perfect. We all, quotation marks, fall off the wagon. That's not what you're really concerned about. You're concerned about the long-term health of individuals, how to protect children. And if someone has either a mental or a drug issue, how can you help them or point them in the right direction?
At the end of the day, all of what we're trying to do is, if it's not a resource that we have within our facilities, to be that community organization that we can direct people to the right way.
It sounds great. Are there any other partners? Obviously, you as the YMCA, you're centered at the Eastside Family YMCA?
Correct. That is where my office is located, but the programs are for the whole association. So we're not just in Harbor Creek, we're everywhere.
Duties as assigned, you go wherever the need may be. That's great. Ellen Hill, Director of Chronic Disease Programming. This document, the Erie County Community Health Improvement Plan, maybe this is their document to be updated. It says it goes from 2019 to 2022. Is there an update coming?
There should be. So the way that it works is they do these community health assessments, and then from there, they put out the community health improvement plan. So my understanding is these health assessments are in the works and will be rolling out. And then from there, the new updated kind of initiative plan will go into effect.
There's a long list of items there. It goes pages. I didn't realize how specific it was, and that's a good thing. I didn't realize how much measurement they did. Boy, they have some lofty goals, and we hope this all works out for, obviously, the health department, but you folks as well. So it sounds like a great program for the community. Once again, give the website so folks can maybe review a couple of things that brought questions to their mind due to this interview. Could you tell us again how to find you online?
Sure. The website is ymcaerie.org. That's YMCAERIE.org. And from there, it will get you access to our chronic disease programs. It will tell you about membership, childcare, any other programmatic things that we have going on. And within the chronic disease, there is the CDP at ymcaerie.org email address. Any questions you have about that, shoot me an email. I'll get it and I'll respond back to you and help get you in the right direction. And
as a suggestion, if someone is listening to this and they know someone who's in need or could use some good, healthy coaching, I guess we both would recommend they pass that information on if they're listening today. That would really be helpful.
Yeah, some people might be listening and go, well, this doesn't necessarily apply to me. But even if that one person in conversation and something comes up and they're able to go, oh, the Y has a program that would be great for what you're talking about. That's one bit of success. So if it doesn't apply to you, but it applies to somebody else, spread the word.
Well, you're a good word-of-mouth organization from what I've heard in this interview. Thank you for being here today, and I hope a couple of ears pass this on to a few folks or apply it to themselves as needed. Thank you so much for doing this interview today.
Thank you for having me.